So we are live. No,
Woo.
2 minutes, 1 minute. You'll see it on your Facebook in a bit. Put the volume down on your so you probably hear feedback from it. Mind you, got the headphones, haven't you? So
Yeah. I'll turn it off. Sound. That's cool.
we are live now. Hey.
Woo.
So welcome, guys, to Mic Drops Up Close. I'm just going to turn my volume right down so that we don't get feedback. We've got our headphones as well, so that's great. But I really want to introduce you to a very great friend, amazing lady. Her name is Nikki Tapley. So welcome, Nikki Tapley, to Mic Drops Up Close.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Oh, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. Well, I wanted to invite you on here because, like, you're a really great guest and perfect guest for my podcast, because my podcast is all about business, marketing, and mindset. And there's people underestimate the importance of mindset. They seem to have an idea, they want to go into business, they carve their path forward, and they literally think that's all they need to do, and they get all the things in place, and they think that's the main thing that they need to do. But most people struggle. By the third year, most businesses are out of business. It's not always the way they've run the business in terms of, like, you know, the logistical stuff and the technical stuff. Sometimes it's the mindset, and I found this myself. So I wanted to bring you on because you're obviously a business coach, mindset specialist, and you know, you literally, you know, you multiple business owning mum of two, aren't you? An entrepreneur with a genuine passion for people. Literally, that's what I love about you. You really have got a genuine passion for people, and, you know, and you're on a mission for startups to succeed, aren't you?
Yeah.
So there's nothing more that you love, connecting people, coaching them, collaborating with people, and so on, helping them achieve their goals. So, you know, you are perfect for my podcast, and you are also a great friend, to be fair. So welcome to Mic Drops Up Close. Would you love to introduce yourself? Maybe I've done a little bit. Maybe you can tell a little bit more about yourself. It would be great to tell the guests and the audience watching.
Cool. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be joining you, one of my superstars. What can I say? That's a great intro. I suppose for me, yeah, what I'm all about is helping other people to succeed. That's what motivates me. So everything that I do, fundamentally, I do because I want to help other people through my work. So yeah.
Awesome. So how did you get into your line of business? Because you know, I mean, we weren't born this way, obviously. I mean, it'd be brilliant if we were. But actually, someone said, I can't remember why I heard it, is if we had the mindset that we had when we were born, we would be unstoppable. Because literally, I can't remember who it's. I'll remember at some point. But literally, as a child, if you kept on falling over and hurting yourself, you'd never learn to walk, would you? Literally. So that we had the mindset, the willpower to keep going, even when we hurt ourselves. We fell over, we grazed our feet, our knees, we, you know, cut our heads open as children, yet we still kept on walking. Yet in business, we get his punches, and sometimes we just that's it, that's enough, you know. So it's quite interesting, actually, touching back on that, you know, in terms of, like, you know how mindset is and how it can help you. But how did you get into it exactly?
I got into coaching, and it all started with an interest in personal development. I've always had an entrepreneurial side to me. Always run my own little businesses for fun, but actually I went out into the corporate world and got my fingers badly burned and decided that I wanted to help people for a living. So I went and trained to be a social worker, and despite being a social worker, I worked with adults for probably about 10 years, but during that time I always ran my own businesses. But as I worked with people, I realized that I had a passion for actually really connecting with people meaningfully and helping them to see change in their situation. That was a key part of what my job was all about as a social worker. But once I had my children, as so often happens, my life changed in the sense that I suddenly realized there was a whole lot more to it than just going out to work for a living.
Yeah.
You know what that feels like, right, Mike?
Yeah, I do, unfortunately. Well, I won't say unfortunately, I'll say fortunately, because it, you know, no matter how hard it is, it carves you and it makes you who you are, definitely.
Completely. And so for me, it just made me stop and take stock of my situation, and I just realized that there was more to life than working. And it got me really thinking about my identity and who I was as a mum, as a woman, as just a human being. and it led me on a bit of a journey of self-development. I became quite aware of myself, and I just sort of started to explore personal development. I started reading, I started challenging myself as to what was really important to me, and I basically came up with my why, my ultimate, purpose, I suppose. It's always subject to change and evolving, but as a result of doing that, it enabled me to connect with the fact that part of what I'm great at is helping other people to see things differently and to troubleshoot and problem solve. And when you consider exactly what you've said about in business, people often give up because of stuff that's going on up here. And you can have all the financial skills and business acumen in the world, but if you don't believe in yourself and what you're capable of, it's all too easy to end up throwing in the towel when things get too much. So I moved out of social work and I started running my own business, but I was also coaching and mentoring students with mental illness as a part-time thing to sustain my business in its growth phase at the very beginning. And in doing that, I realized that I didn't have to be a social worker to help people to see change in themselves. I could actually work one-to-one as a mentor and as a coach and help them to achieve things that way. And yeah, it just opened up my whole sphere of awareness around the field of coaching and what it can do for people. And I got coached myself, and actually for me, that was the catalyst that led me into mindset coaching.
That's lovely. That's lovely, because you've actually gained from it. So you're like passing the torch on. I think that's beautiful, because I've actually, you reached out to me once, and I was having a bit of a tricky time, wasn't I? And you reached out to me, and we were we both did like a bit of a fitness challenge, didn't we? And you reached out to me, and you really, really helped me, actually put me on the straight and narrow. And I knew then straight away that this lady's got a really fantastic talent in terms of how your way of work with words. I mean, I'm doing this podcast and I'll slip up loads of times, but I don't care. It's uncut. I don't care. It's going to be me. This is how I am. My mind whizzes really fast. And so for me to get focused and get clear and get clear-minded is really difficult, but you got me on the straight and narrow, and literally, you got me thinking quite clearly and straight. And I thought to myself, who would I want on my podcast? So I thought Nikki is perfect for this. And you're very liked by many, many people, and you're expert in your field as far as I'm concerned. And it's great having you on here. So back to the subject before I babble again. Your passion for it has been so it shows in the way you talk to people and the way you can communicate with them and coach them and so on. And like I said, I was a recipient myself. But how do you do that when you have struggles yourself? Because surely as a coach, I've always wondered with coaches how they coach when they're struggling. I mean, do they say, right, I'm having a day off, I'm not doing that? Or do they literally, put on their battlefield, shields on and just go straight in? Is it something you practice and you learn to do it? Or do you literally think, right, we can't do coaching whilst I'm in this sort of mindset? How do you do that?
That is an awesome question, man. I wish I had a chance to think about that one.
Have a think.
It's cool, actually. I think what I would say is it's the same with any profession. When you love what you do, it makes it easier as well. For me, it doesn't matter what kind of a day I'm having. My purpose is to help other people. So actually, if I'm having a really tricky day, I love the fact that I can just park my stuff and just tune it into another person and be present and in that moment with them. And whatever's going on in the background for me, it shuts off for that period of time. And I guess that's a skill that I learned to hone as a social worker. I mean, it's a tough job. There's a lot of very difficult situations that you're exposed to, and it's a massive learning curve. And I think I did a lot of that learning then in terms of how to park your stuff, focus on the now that you're in, and deal with what's in front of you. But I think there's also an element of just learning how to deal better with stuff that comes up. And it's not anything, it's not a superpower that I've got or anything particularly special. It's just what I've learned is how to, I have not.
You haven't got a superpower. Come on, you have. You're Nikki Tapley, for goodness sake. No, but you say that, but literally to other people, they'd find that very difficult. So you've obviously you've mastered your craft. Just to be able to park it is tricky. That's difficult in any business. I mean, I can imagine you with road rage, just going, "That's fine, don't worry."
No, I have my moments. I have my moments. I mean, I think I learned to moderate myself, and that's not to say that I don't have my moments. I mean, guys that are in my crew and collaborate in the community that I run, they've seen me a little bit emotional at times. You know, sometimes it is really, really hard to completely separate and distance yourself from what people might say about you or things that might happen. And it's, for me, the thing that I think is really important for all of us in life and in business is just about learning to slow our thoughts down before we get carried away with them. And I really try and practice that hard. I've had quite a lot of opportunity to practice it. I don't always get it right. And I'm the first to put my hand up and say there will be times when my own emotional connection to something that's happened gets the better of me. But I try very hard, and I definitely, the more I try and the more I go through it, the better I get at it. And so that's what I'd say to other people, to do the same, you know?
Yeah, and you're extremely humble. So yeah, I love that. I mean, the reality is that, you know, in business, you are right. Everyone goes through a lot of struggles and so on, and it's about, we have to try and put that face on and try and crack on. But you do have a really great way of being able to, you know, keep calm and keep your head clear. Because I mean, I've been there when, you know, things have happened in the past, and my head cannot stay clear no matter how much I try. So, you know, that is a real skill to be able to park that and just focus on your client, which shows a real good profession. I mean, I do that, don't worry. But in the past, it was very difficult. I mean, and I'm very open, I'm very honest with myself. So what people see of me in terms of how I am on social media and so on is me. I don't put on a front if this thing. Yeah, and I think, and that's the thing, and I seeing you're like that as well. And there's a few friends that are like that, but I do see a lot of people put on a front, which is quite you know, I mean, you've probably seen it yourself. It's quite cringeworthy, to be honest with you, sometimes, because you think you're nothing like that, you know. Or they do I mean, there's in marketing, for instance, like, because it's, you know, obviously, you know, come from the marketing background, and you know, I specialize in lead generation for property experts and people in their property game. So I do it for everyone, to be fair, but that's what I niche down on. And I do chatbots and funnels and Facebook ads and stuff like that, landing pages. But with all that kind of stuff going on, it's very, very, very easy to sort of like lose track of where you're going with what you need as a business. And so when you actually you're actually dealing with people, I have to be focused enough for them. So when I'm being myself on Facebook, I'm being myself as what they're going to see and expect me to be. So if I've got issues, I'm going to be honest with them that my life's very difficult, and yet I can still crack on. And it empowers people generally. So I found that me being honest empowers them. Well, before, I used to find that as a mind block, where I'd say, right, I've got a disabled child. I can't normally do what I normally did in the business. I have a lot of freedom, do what I want whenever I want. And like now I think, no, screw that. I can do what the hell I want. I can design my own life. I can design my own business. I can work with the people I choose to work with. And it's up to me. And I will be me. And I will not pretend to be someone else I'm not. And the thing is, like in marketing, is people can be sort of like very, like for video marketing, for instance, people can be really sort of like over the top, like, hi, hey, it's like, and they feel they need to be that way for engagement. But I found that actually that can really put people off, you know, where, especially if they're known, you know, where they think that person's totally different, and they get the idea that they're, you know, they're obviously marketing themselves and so on, but it's just too cringeworthy for my liking. So I can't do it. Even if I know it's a good place to be and a good way to be in marketing your services, I can't be fake and pretend to be this, you know, over hyper person, you know, like, you know, it's just not me. And that's where I connected with you. You're very upfront and very honest with how you are. And I think, like you said, the background that you come from really, without doubt, would help with what you're doing in terms of coaching, with no doubt about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I think this is why I like you so much. It's the authenticity thing. For me, it's a major value that one of my top 10 is authenticity. And yes, if I'm about to do a Facebook Live, sometimes I will kind of take a deep breath and be like, right, hi everyone. And I will do that whole positive energy, because people do, if I'm trying to inspire other people and give them energy, I need to have that energy behind me. But I'm also not afraid to be me and to be vulnerable. And actually, the number of conversations that I've had with people who, they care about me, and I love them for that. And they'll say to me, Nikki, this video that you've done, it makes you look a bit vulnerable, or it makes you look a little bit kind of like you're struggling. And, you sure you want to put that out there? And I'm like, bring it on, because I am not Superwoman. I've got 2 kids, I've got a husband to keep happy, I've got my charity commitments, I've got my businesses to run, I've got a lot of stuff on. And if every now and again I do a post that makes people realize that I'm no different to them, good, is what I have to say about that.
Spot on.
It's not about fake it till you make it. I don't buy into all that kind of thing. I just think keep it real, be you, show up, do what you say you're going to do, and be the best that you can be. What more can people want from you?
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. And it's true, because I mean, there is a lot of fake it till you make it. And when I say sort of like the energy thing's very spot on, you've got to bring up the energy, definitely, if that's your personality, or even just the introduction. What I really can't stand personally is the way it's like a change of personality. It's so different. It's like, it's like, and they're doing weird right hand movements. It's kind of like, it's like, whoa, calm down, because there's, reasons behind it in terms of marketing. But I just can't stand that. And you're right about the fake it till you make it. I mean, there's people with there's people with proper real Lambos. I get that. Good for you. Full respect to them. They've got the right to show their journey and how they got there. And there's people that fake it, and they've got the hired cars, and they're it's just, there's people in your field actually that are just utterly dodgy as far as I'm concerned. I won't mention any names, but they fake it massively. And
what's there to gain? What's there to gain? I mean, I was thinking about this in the car this morning. I was driving back from a business meeting with potential JV partner for my property business. I was driving back, and I'm not ashamed to admit I've got a Nissan Qashqai Plus 2. I knocked the wing mirror off about a year ago. I haven't bothered to fix it, and it's a little bit old. And I was driving back, and I was thinking, one of these days I'll really need to buy myself a car to show people that I'm actually doing well enough to have a decent car, because the longer I drive around this clapped out old thing, people are going to think that I'm no good at what I do. But for me, I'm so not materialistic. It is like the bottom of my agenda. And so to see people with photos of themselves in front of the the Land Rover garage or whatever, and like posing with a car, if that's what your life goal, to own that car, and it's a genuine moment of pride, I love that. I'm so proud for that person. But photos of people with cars and achieving things, laying on the beach or whatever, for me, you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes for that person. Actually, a status symbol says nothing about how happy and content you are in your life. So I'm quite happy driving my it's a good car. It's never broken down.
They are really good cars. And no, you're right, absolutely spot on. I think the thing is, where you see a lot of people that are famous people, even where they've really made it in life, and you find out they've gone on top themselves through severe depression, and no one really knew it. And it was, they had everything they ever wanted. And people look at me and we've got a nice big house, and they think, oh, you're so sorted, Mike. I'm like, mate, I'd live in a bloody rotten shed, if I could get my son to walk and see again, and it's like, I'd give everything. I give up everything to have my son have something back, and yet they look at you in sort of like envy and so on, and yet they don't understand. And I'm there very straight up and honest with when times are hard, things are difficult, because, and the only reason why I did it, I share it. I actually shared it once many years ago on Facebook, and contrary to what people think, considering I'm into Facebook, I'm a Facebook sort of expert and so on, I wasn't into Facebook right at the beginning. I actually came off Facebook. I went in there at the beginning, started Facebook, closed all my account down, thought this is just madness. I'm not going to waste my life on Facebook. And then when my son was made disabled, we connected with families abroad that had groups, for specialist children like my son that have been affected by his condition connectorus. And so I joined Facebook under his name. So I made one under his name. And that became my profile in the end when I changed it back to me, because everyone would message me anyway. And then I became really a big advocate for Facebook and the positives that social media platforms can really bring. There's not just negatives, there's a lot of positives, helping families. And then I did lives, you know, and conversations with people, and it really helped them. So that's where I got the core of like wanting to be just true to myself and pure and honest on Facebook. I will not BS anyone, and anyone that calls me up about property, I'll tell them straight, you know, about what's hard, what's not, and so on. You know, if they, you know, I can't help but be honest. Now, maybe I'm damaging my own brand, and, you know, I could have easily promoted myself in a completely glossed up way. Got a beautiful house, got, you know, done quite well originally in property, that just like in the first initial year when I started in it. And I could have really pushed myself up and put a gloss over who I am and where I am as a property investor. But, you know, yes, I'm successful to some extent, but, you know, the truth be told, and I say some extent, and in podcasts with other people when they've interviewed me, I've told them straight, you know, unless I own property outright, you know, and they're fully tenanted, I am grateful, but we're not there. We're not there, you know, because the bank owns the properties. Let's be honest. We own part of it, but the banks own the properties. So I'm not going to just play out on some great guy that's got millions of pounds worth of property, because no, they're not mine as far as I'm concerned. And this is the point, is like, yeah, other people love to do that and they do it for their brand. I get that. But, you know, there's people that are bigging themselves out there, and I know I'm smashing it more than them, you know, but the point is, you know, I can't be that way, and I refuse to do it for anyone. I don't care who that, you know, or how much it might benefit me, and it might help my family promoting myself in a certain way, but I will refuse to be fake. There's no way on this planet I can do it. So that's where it's really important with the mindset thing. Now, I would say, and I don't know if you'd agree with me, that maybe there's when I think my mindset's weak, maybe there's more strength in being honest and vulnerable, being true to yourself in mindset and being able to share that, than someone that needs to fake it. You know, what was your thoughts on that?
I mean, people fake it for all different kinds of reasons. You've already identified marketing, branding. You know, the marketing consultants out there would be divided in their own opinions. Some would say, yeah, you know, get your messaging clear, make sure that everything you do is on point. That was how I got my fingers burned. I used to work in marketing right back at the beginning. I know, shocking. I know, I'm back at you, mate.
I know.
But, you know, it is a fake world. It's a world of imagery and fakery, and it's, you know, yeah, depending on how it's done. I personally feel like life is too short to have to spend it hiding the person who I really am. And I think there's some kind of happy middle ground in terms of being real, being authentic, showing your you know, that you are who you say you are, and there's not this kind of hidden stuff going on behind the scenes that nobody knows about. But I also think it is about looking after the people who you're serving, for me. And you know, there's a lot of people who follow me, and I don't mean this to sound in any way big-headed, because I've got a tiny following compared to a lot of people out there, but I've got my little crew of people who I work with and who I help in various different ways, and they watch me and they need me to be strong, and they need me to be able to show up and do what I need to do. So there's an element of being real and being open and not faking it, but also you need to protect people sometimes from the intricacies of the stuff you're dealing with. And I've had a number of conversations on lives and on video, but also just one-to-one with people, where I've said, look, you know, you'll say to me, you haven't got time to do this. When I'm coaching people, you haven't got the time, you haven't got the money, you haven't got this, you haven't got that. This isn't about me, but let me say to you, I know how that feels. You know, there's a lot of times where I could easily say, I don't have the time, I don't have the money. But the reality is, it's always about your priority and what's important to you. So for me, when I'm showing up on social media, my priority is serving my audience, if you like, and helping them to learn and to grow and to achieve what they want to achieve. Now, if I'm spending the whole time ranting about stuff, bringing negative energy into the arena, that's not going to help the people that I want to help. It's going to bring them down. But equally, if I come out there and say, you know, my world is so amazing, that life could not be more perfect right now. I've got this, I've got this. The reality is life isn't perfection. So trying to fake it and make things seem better than they are equally doesn't serve them. So I try and show up in the middle ground and be like, this is what's going on for me. I'm facing this challenge or that challenge, but also it's how you frame it. Showing up and just ranting doesn't help anyone. But if you can frame, this is a challenge that I'm facing, and I would love your thoughts or your encouragement right now, it shows that you're a real person, and it shows that you face your own challenges, but it also demonstrates an ability to manage those. And I think that's really important when you're looking to help other people, is to be able to have that strength. And it, we all have our wobbles, of course we do. I've cried on my husband's shoulder and said, I don't want to do this anymore. But the reality is that's just a moment of emotion. That's not the reality for me. So
no, you're right. There's a great guy who talks about being above the line, and yet you do definitely need the balance of those downs to be normal, to feel human.
You do.
If you're constantly on a high five high, I call it the high five high, high five. I think you'd be extremely depressed at some point, because it's like bloody stock market. It's like Bitcoin, isn't it? It goes so up, it goes so high, it's going to drop. When it goes to a certain point, it's going to come back quite high. But maybe that's a bad analogy. All the crypto and Bitcoin people are going to be throwing things.
Just keep digging.
But the reality is, it's really important to be down at times, to feel down, being like that depression to some degree. Not depression, but you've got to feel human, and
you've got to feel all feels.
Yeah. And I felt crap yesterday, and literally, like I said, it's probably like a full moon. Everything happened. My clutch went on my car. It's like I was feeling crap anyway, feeling really, really down. I can't even put a finger on it. I think it's because I'm just trying too hard in my business, if I'm being honest with you, and I just need a holiday. But I've got commitments, and I need to do it, and that's my job role as a leader in my business. And I've got mentorship, I've got training tonight to train people, train a group of people in marketing and so on. And I'm up for that. That actually cheers me up. I look forward to it, because we come from that position of serving. You know what I mean?
That's that thing you were saying. That's exactly that thing you were saying about how do you show up when you've got all that stuff going on. It's because it energizes you.
It does. It's crazy. I mean, I've done it for many, many, many years for free. You know what I mean? and there's a pattern there where actually that made me better. Serving and helping people actually cured me. It's selfish of me. It's selfish of me with all the crap going in my life, my son being disabled, loads of stuff happening with my health and so on. Actually, I'm selfish when I say me serving people really serves me.
That's not selfish. That's just, I think anything we do, we ultimately do from a place of the impact it's going to have on us. As much as you could try and deny it, we are as humans fundamentally egocentric, because we're all about survival, and survival means looking after ourselves. And it's that whole thing of putting your oxygen mask on first before other people. Whatever you do, it's got to make you feel good, otherwise you're not going to want to do it.
You're spot on. I'd done a bit too much the other way round. I helped people before put my oxygen mask on, which is, and I did that in the sense where I would swap my time, not for money, but for my heart, my love. And it dragged me down, if I'm being honest. So where people had issues, they had problems, I've donated so much to charity, you won't believe. It's in thousands and thousands of pounds. You would not believe. And I can't help myself, right? But I know I need to put my own oxygen mask on. I know I need to serve and actually get a fair return on investment, on my time investment, with people. Because sometimes, and I think you probably know this in coaching as well, is like people don't fully appreciate the worth of what you're giving them until you take a payment for it, which is crazy. But there's true psychology in that. When something's free, they don't fully appreciate it. It's crazy. Yet they'll go to a course, spend tens of thousands of pounds, and you'd probably give them more value by teaching them more than just the concepts, maybe even the tools, and going deeper and so on. And it's crazy that when you give it with just pure heart and love, and for no exchange of value, people can sort of like take that for granted. I don't know, have you noticed that yourself?
Yeah, it's perceived value, it's psychology. Yeah, if you throw your money behind something, it's your way of saying, I'm committed to this and I really want what I'm going to get from it. Whereas if you're just getting something for free, there's no commitment there. It take it or leave it. You know, I'd like to do this. Oh, it's free, great, even better. And then the reality comes. Yeah, no, and it's true. And you know, that's why with my coaching, I started off kind of massively undervaluing my time, because I thought, well, I want to serve people who are starting up, who don't have a lot of money, so I need to charge less to make it available to them. And what I realized was the people that paid less didn't bother showing up.
That's my point. I mean, we get warned about it with people doing events and so on. And we did an event recently in London, which was very successful actually, and it's our first ever event. But there's obviously always an imposter syndrome, and this is what we're talking about in terms of business and mindset. There's always an imposter syndrome. Yet where I've done what I've done in my life far exceeds a lot of experienced people out there training other people, and yet I feel imposter syndrome. It's crazy. We did our first event with my friend James, and it was like very, very successful. And it was a paid event. It was a paid event. The ticket prices started at £97. They went to almost £500, and we had absolutely fantastic feedback on that. It was really, really, really great feedback, and not one negative bit of feedback, literally. So I'm like, why have I got imposter syndrome? Yeah, I'm still like that. Even when I do my training, I'm always the student in my head.
That's great. Do you know why that is?
Why?
Do you know why? Imposter syndrome is it's actually a defense mechanism to ensure that you push yourself to continue trying to be better. The reason that is important is, as a human race, we're built to seek for survival, to be the alpha in our tribe. Because if you imagine in caveman times, and you're living in your caves and you've got these tigers that come, you need to be the strongest, you need to be the fittest, you need to be able to fight off those tigers and defend your village and survive. And actually, if you're not constantly striving to be better, then you're not going to be able to defeat those tigers. You're going to be the one getting eaten. So it's a natural instinct that we have to better ourselves and to be a step ahead for our own survival.
That's true.
So actually, it serves us in a positive way as long as we're able to manage and control it and see it for what it is.
I'm getting there. Like I said, I'll be honest. I'm not going to sit here and be like, I mean, I'm training people, I'm doing masterminds and so on for people. There's people, great people, fantastic, beautiful people, are mentees of mine. And, I mean, the last session I had, their heads were blown with the system and tools I was using. Like, this is ideal for what I need to do. And I've shown them how to do it. And yet, I'm really proud of that. And I've got, again, this session tonight for them. And I always go overboard. It should be about an hour. I always do 2-3 hours, literally. Honestly. And it's a year-long program. It's not like a 1-day thing, a 2-day thing, and they spend thousands and thousands of pounds. I literally go overboard. I'm not even exaggerating. And this is not a plug for my course. I won't even mention it, put a link in or anything like that. I'm just
go on. You're not serving your audience if you don't do that.
They put me on the... I'll put a link in. You're serving my audience. Oh, my God. You're right. Exactly. That was a bloody imposter thing.
Exactly that. You just do it. It's just a habit. It's a habit.
It's crazy. And I've got mentors that say I really need to do that. And we've got Rob Moore, obviously, Nick James are great mentors, Matt Elwell, all these people that are great mentors of mine. And I mean, like, for me, I feel that the mindset is not that I think that they're better than me, although I think they're really great human beings. It's the mindset of, like, they've actually gone there and done it, So they've done it, and they're decent people as well. So knowing that they've gone there and done that, and I think they're decent people, means that you can serve yourself as well, moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, a good mentor has got to be someone who's been there and done it and got the t-shirt and learned, and that's what mentorship is all about, and using their experiences to kind of further your own development. And I guess for me, there's various people whose knowledge I draw on as mentors, but also with the coaching side of things, it's just about recognizing that your mind is constantly developing and growing, and there's always going to be bits of you that you can not necessarily improve on, because I don't like to frame it in that way. I think it's more about just having opportunities to grow and to think differently and to experience all that life has got to offer. So coaching is a great way to do that. And also to shut down that stuff, that negative self-talk that makes you think, oh, I'm not as good as so-and-so. I'm, you've done a lot of self-development. You're already quite good at framing it in a positive way. But ultimately, there's always going to be people that we look up to. and that we know can teach us stuff. So I don't think that's at all a bad thing, and mentorship is a great,
and we can certainly teach them as well. That's the reality. The thing is, like, for me, it's more of like being true to yourself is what I say a lot, and I think if your personality is the sort that, you know, you want to serve, you want to give, you really want to help people, then do it with all the love, and then obviously do an exchange for that, you know, and it's hard to understand because, like, I even when you, for instance, do a coaching yourself, now to some people that don't understand, and there's a lot of people that don't understand the coaching aspect of it, it's a bit like, you know, so why do you need a coach? You know, just get on and do your business. Some people don't understand that mentorship side of it. Yeah.
Well, for me, coaching and mentoring is very different. And I just, if I can, what I'd say is, for me, from my perspective as a coach and as someone that has a coach, it's vital if you're actually going to get the best out of yourself, because you can only see yourself from your own point of view. You don't have that ability to kind of completely distance yourself from a situation and see things that somebody else might do. So for me, a coach is somebody who can tease the answers out of you that you're struggling to find for yourself, and enabling you therefore to do and achieve more and feel better on your journey as well. It's just, I meet so many people who are incredibly gifted, talented people. They're achieving so much in their life, but they are miserable. And, you know, they'll be the first to go, oh, I don't need a coach, you know, I'm doing all of this. But actually, are you really enjoying your journey? Are you always striving for something more and feeling like you're living for tomorrow and hoping for tomorrow? If you can't appreciate the here and the now, and you're so tied up in what's still to come, what happens when something unexpected happens in your life and tomorrow doesn't come? You know, for me, it's appreciating the journey, enjoying the moment, and allowing somebody to actually help take you by the hand and say, it's okay to feel this way about things, but have you considered looking at it from a different perspective? And what I see in my coaching clients, the biggest transformations that I witness come when people are prepared to open up their mind and say, I want to see things differently. Yes, I know that I'm doing things in a certain way for a certain reason, and I'm going places, and that's cool. But actually, this part of my life doesn't feel good to me right now. There will be bits for us, each of us, bits of life that don't feel as good as we'd like them to. And there's stuff you can do to change that, because the situation isn't the problem, it's the way you see it. So having a coach enables you to see things differently. Some people don't need coaching, they've got it. You know, coaches come, we have coaches for periods of our lives for particular reasons. But I would just say that if you want to achieve more and get focused, it's great for that. But also, if you want to reframe and change the way that you see things and challenge yourself and your perceptions, then it's great for that too. So that's, for me, the value of coaching. I wouldn't be without a coach. Sometimes I have coaches for ongoing periods of time to deal with a particular thing. Other times it's a one-off thing just to brain dump and change the way I see things. But like, for me personally now, I only work with people on a longer term basis, because what I look to get out of a coaching relationship is a relationship that's based on trust, and that it takes time for people to be really willing to truly open up and spill all the stuff that's going on in here. And you can get quite a lot out of people quite quickly. Some people I've worked with for an hour and that's it. I haven't seen them for dust because they've got what they needed and gone. But actually, the beauty for me of coaching, and why I do it and spend my time on it, you know, alongside all the other businesses that I run, the reason that I do coaching and I continue to do it is because of that relationship that I can build up with another person, where they can truly open up and know that no matter what's going on in their life over the next week, month, year, they just have to pick up the phone to me and know that they're going to hear a different perspective that is going to help them to cope with whatever it is that they're facing. And it's not a sign of weakness to need a coach, it's actually a sign of strength, because accepting that you haven't got it all together and you're not Mr. Perfect or Miss Perfect is actually quite a brave thing to be able to do. And a little sneaky thing, the more successful people are in terms of what the world would see as success, you know, the more money people have, the best they've done in business, quite often the worse the imposter syndrome, the worse the insecurities. So I very much am now at a point in my coaching where I want to work with the people who are really going places, who have got amazing potential and who understand that they've got it, but they also need help to get over those insecurities. And that's what I'm really passionate about at this stage in my career.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, literally. I think you're spot on with that. And I mean, I see it in terms of like, you can get extremely, go extremely far, and your mindset can be really spot on, and you're there where you need to be. And then you go higher and higher and higher, and then you reach to a point where it kind of almost starts falling down again. I mean, think of it in terms of like, Icarus, the whole famous, but the mythology, the Greek mythology, where he gets his wings, he's got his accomplishments, he starts flying, he wants to go higher and higher, and the higher and higher you get, the more damage that can happen. You can see that in some sort of like businesses and certain people that they can do that. I don't know if this is making much sense, but literally finding that middle ground where you can just appreciate where you are can actually benefit you a lot better. You got the warmth of the sun, you got the breeze below you, and you got the best of both worlds. If you go too extreme one way, it can really screw you up. And that's where I want to be. I want to be up there. I want to give my son wings. I want him to be able to be free. I want him to have his ability to be control of his body and so on. And I know I can't do that with on a shoestring. I know that's not going to happen. And so my goal is to get him that Iron Man suit, and give him the freedom. And there will be the opportunity that at some point in life, if it's not in this lifetime, there will be another lifetime for someone else. So I'll keep seeking it no matter what. And if it's for other people to help them, my end goal is to create a charity called My Little Spartans for children with disability, and that's my end goal. But I know I need to put my own oxygen mask on, get myself established and stable, and literally, and just move and make strides that way first. And
that's the thing about you. You've got to live for the moment as much as you're living for the future. Yet having your purpose, your vision, your why, however you choose to frame that, is really important in terms of giving you the get up and go each day to crack on and do what you're going to do. But if you're not enjoying the process of getting there, then that's not much of a life. So it's about being at peace with the moment, but also having that little bit of a red hot poker in your bum to keep you moving. And that's what I think. I just did a big session with my Business Success Squad members last week in my group program about vision and the importance of having vision. But you can't live your whole life impatient for your vision. There's something about working towards your goals and doing that in a way that works for you, but without such impatience that you're actually angry with today and the fact that you're not where you want to be, because that's no way to live a life.
And we all get there a little bit. We touch on it a little bit. It's just getting grounded again, I think, and realizing that you can't rush these things. You're not going to be super rich in an instant. You're not going to be super famous if that's what you want. It's just not going to happen in an instant. You've got to really sort of like work at this and have patience is really important. Just keep at it and have patience. It's very easy to kind of feel down and feel like you're not making much traction.
I think the key thing is to celebrate every little success, to appreciate what you're doing, do gratitude. I do gratitude journals daily to make sure that I'm really counting my blessings, and it's like stay grounded. Be thankful for what you've got, appreciate the moment, but then also look for tomorrow. Look what lessons have I learned from today, what can I do differently or better tomorrow that's going to actually make me a better person and take me closer to my goals. And as long as you're doing that, it's just one step at a time, and be excited for the future. I'm a very excitable person. I love getting excited about things, but not to the detriment of enjoying the moment. That's what I would say.
So what would you say if I said if you could pick 3 tips on business success with mindset, what would you say there would be? If you could say 3, we sum it up. I mean, you might be repeating some things, but if we could say 3 tips for the audience watching.
I'd say tip number 1 is have a vision. Allow yourself to dream big. Don't hold yourself back in that respect. A lot of people do have small dreams because they try and squash them because they don't believe they're capable of more. So I'd say always aim huge, and have an element of your vision that relates to leaving some kind of positive legacy and helping other people or making a difference. Because if you don't have that element, you can get all the stuff and all the things in the world and you won't be satisfied. But actually by doing something positive for the society that you live in, or the community, or the world, or whatever it is, that will actually keep you going. So my first thing is vision, have clarity around that, and be working towards that. I think my second tip would be don't beat yourself up for making mistakes, because there's no such thing as like failure. It's every mistake is a lesson learned that's going to take you to success. So rather than beating yourself up and go, oh, I didn't do that right, or I should have done that, or I could have done that, look at what you have done and look at what you've learned.
Yeah.
What you were saying earlier about, as children, if we had the same mentality now that we did as children, we would achieve the world. And the reality is, it's because other people speak into our lessons, and rather than saying, what have you learned from this? So you climb on a high wall and you fall off and you break your ankle. They'll go, well, see, I told you shouldn't have done that. Well, actually, no, that's not particularly helpful. What lesson have you learned from doing this? And if you look at life as lessons rather than mistakes and things that you should be disciplined over, you'll learn from those and it will help you to step forward. So I'd say don't beat yourself up about mistakes and learn from them, would be my second one. And my third one would be celebrate your successes and appreciate what you have accomplished.
Love it.
Find satisfaction in that.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome. And so, like, I think there's a reason why on whatever program you go on in terms of training, especially outside of college, university, education, usual education, if it's entrepreneurship of any sort, the one thing they start off, module 1, what would it be? It's always mindset, always mindset, what's your reason why, and mine is obviously to help my family, but obviously my son a lot more. He needs a lot more help. I've got a daughter that needs help as well. Unfortunately, she's gonna need some help as well. And it's that life is not fair. It's absolutely damn right cruel sometimes, but it's how we perceive it. Now, I mean, I never thought in a million years that I would be living the life that I live now. My son was born healthy, for goodness sake. You know what I mean? I don't think most people would. But things do change, and, anything can happen, anything. And not just to me, to people that I know, from university, from school, from, family, and there's things that happen to these people that I love and know, that they would never have thought could happen to them. It can happen to anyone, and anyone watching this could have a baby and then, think everything's all hunky-dory, and then stuff happens and you just don't know, or you go through cancer scare like we did, or actual cancer with the family, and it's just like you just don't know. So I think the one magic power that you can have, where people say, oh, Mike, you're inspiring, or how'd you do this, how have you kept so strong, the one thing I'd say, even though I have my lows, is being able to get back up, standing back up and knowing the power of mindset, even when I have my lows. And sometimes I feel like a fake, because I'm saying, right, okay, come on, guys, you got to be strong. But actually, no, I'm being true and honest by saying, I've got to be strong, but there's going to be some days it's going to be hard,
Yeah. I mean, nobody ever said that life was easy, and
No.
But how you perceive the challenges that you face makes a massive difference to how well you manage through life. And I think it's there have been people that have said to me, like clients and other people who will have made an excuse at some point as to why they haven't been able to do something. Oh, I can't do this because, and quote whatever reason here, insert. But actually, there's no such thing as you can't. It's won't. Will you? Like, do you want this? If you really want it, you're only constrained by the reality of what's physically, humanly possible. Although actually I'm a spiritual person and I'm a Christian, so I don't even agree with that. But that's by the by. But actually, it's you can choose how you respond to a challenge in your life. You can go down the route of woe is me, life is miserable, this is so unfair, and throw all your toys out of the pram and wallow. And there will be moments, there will be emotional moments in our life where we will go to that place. But it's learning how to pick yourself, as you say, back up out of that place. It's not to say you're never going to go there. That's unrealistic. Your initial reaction to something will take you there. But it's then having that little bit in the back of your head that says, come on, Nikki, come on, Michael. That's not going to get us anywhere, is it? How can we show up for whoever it is, or how can we achieve this if we stay down here? We want to be doing that over there. We need to get out of here. And it's, sometimes you can do that for yourself and you can pick yourself up and get yourself out. Other times you need somebody else with an outside pair of eyes to do that. but
I
it's
love
how
that.
you see the challenge, and whether you choose to stay in it. And actually, the sad thing for me, and the thing that I personally find most challenging and frustrating, is when I can see people in that place and they don't want to get out,
Yeah.
because it's almost too difficult.
And it's actually, it can be, and I've been there. It can actually be a strange place where it's painful, but you find comfort in it.
Yeah.
And so there's comfort in that. It's all you know now.
Mm.
Sadness is all you know. So having excitement, you almost feel guilty to have excitement and happiness. Like when my son was first made disabled, sorry for bringing it back up, but it's a real big part of my life.
Of course.
It's kind of like, say a year on from that, there might be something on TV that made me laugh, and I'd go to instinctively laugh, and then I'll be like, you can't laugh. How dare you laugh?
Mm.
You're supposed to be sad right now. Your son's made this disabled. How dare you enjoy yourself? It's like, whoa, me and my wife, holidays, they're a bit of a thing of the past, but there's a point now I'm thinking, actually, we're going to have to sort ourselves out and go somewhere. I entered a competition recently, actually, on Instagram. But yeah, do something for us and not feel guilty for doing that. And I think it's really important to know the power of your worth, and that you are entitled to feel good even in despair. And the reality is exactly what you're saying. I can honestly, genuinely, I know the feeling of that, because I've been there. I've wallowed in it. I felt sorry for myself. When someone says, I know what you feel, I know how you feel. We had a scare when we were young. I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, yeah, I got a clue how I feel. You had a scare. Your son's not blind, deaf, spastic, cerebral palsy, non-verbal, and all. I'm like reeling it off like a checklist. Like I've got these badges, of like, my son's really bad. But there is days when I get that, and I think, you don't know, and the lack of sleep and all that kind of thing. But I bring myself back and I think, hang on a minute, Mike, be thankful for what you've got. Beautiful child, loves you to bits. He senses, he knows you're there. Got a beautiful family around us. And you know what? If we can smile, then that's all that matters. If we can have a bit of laughter in our lives, that's all that matters. No one promised us anything. You said something, which we're going to have to end on soon, but you said how you show up. I love that. It is true. I think there's a good point there. So, like, for my guests and my audience, like, how are you going to show up each day? Because what Nikki's talking about is really important, and I really, really, this is passionate stuff for me. I mean, this stuff really kind of connects with me, because we've connected anyway as friends, quite naturally, and that's what I tend to do with a lot of people. There's I can't put a finger on it. It's literally an instinctive sort of like connection, where they're on the same vibe.
It's because you're authentic and you put it out there, and that attracts like. That's what it is.
Yeah. And a lot of my talks were about traction marketing, actually, which is funny enough. Yeah. But it's more about being authentic. Yeah, it's true. It's all about that, and it really does. It can really help you in your life and in your business, literally. Yeah. But we're gonna have to call it a day. My battery's running low as well, unfortunately. But it has been an hour. So I just want to say a massive thank you, Nikki, for joining us. Would you like to share where people can contact you, reach out to you, and anything like that? Just throw away, plug away.
Yeah, sure. So I have got a website. I'm about to rebrand it, actually, but you can bear with it for now. And that's
I can do your website.
Yeah, we should talk.
Give me a shout. Yeah.
We need to talk. It's nikkitapley.com for my website. I'm on facebook.com/Nikki Tapley Empowerment. So yeah, I'm on Insta, Nikki Tapley. Just look me up by my name, you'll find me. I'm kind of everywhere.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Nikki, for your time. I really, 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 really appreciate it. Again, also, if you want to contact her, you didn't get that, we'll get the links and I'll send them in the post, in the link in the comments here. And also anyone who wants to connect with me as well, whether you need your business going online, I'm really good at that. If you need to put your business into a recurring income generating system like a course, I can help you with that. I can do Facebook ads, lead generation, and I'm going to just drop them all in now because Nikki told me I should.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, basically that sort of stuff. But give me a shout if you want any help there. And thank you again, Nikki. You've been a star. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All the best. Take care. See you guys. Bye from Mike Drops Up Close. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. See you. Bye. Thank you, Nikki. Really appreciate that.